After being baptized, Jesus did not return to the crowds. He did not seek attention. He did not begin preaching. Instead, he walked away, alone, into the wilderness. The desert stretched endlessly before him, dry, silent, empty, a place where nothing grows, a place where time feels different, where every step becomes heavier and every thought becomes louder. For 40 days and 40 nights he remained there, fasting, without food, without comfort, without distraction. The sun burned during the day, the cold settled deeply at night, and in that silence, something deeper began to happen. Because the desert does not only test the body, it reveals the soul. Hunger grew, weakness followed, and in that fragile state, the moment arrived, the moment of testing. Not from the world, but from something far more subtle. The tempter came, not with force, not with violence, but with words. Carefully chosen, quiet, precise. If you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread. A simple suggestion. After all, he was hungry, and he had the power. But Jesus answered, not with emotion, not with impulse, but with truth. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from God. The first temptation was not about hunger. It was about dependence. Would he trust his need or trust God? And he chose to trust. But the test was not over. It was only beginning, because the greatest battles are not fought outside. They are fought within, in silence, in weakness, in moments when no one is watching. The desert remained silent, but the test was not over. In that place of emptiness where the body is weak and the mind becomes louder, the tempter returned, not with force, not with fear, but with something far more dangerous, subtlety. Because the greatest temptations do not always look like evil. Sometimes they look reasonable, logical, even justified. And this time, the approach was different. Jesus was taken to a high place, a place that overlooked everything, a place that felt sacred. And there, the voice spoke again. If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. It sounded almost like faith, like trust. But it was not. It was pressure. It was manipulation. It was the idea that God needed to prove himself, that his presence required a sign, and then something even more subtle happened. Words. Scripture itself was used. He will command his angels concerning you. Truth twisted just enough to become dangerous, because not every truth is used with truth, and not every voice that sounds spiritual comes from God. For a moment, the silence returned, and in that silence, a decision had to be made. Not about power, not about identity, but about trust. Would he force God to act, or trust that God was already there? And Jesus answered, calmly, clearly, without hesitation. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. It was not dramatic. It was not loud, but it was absolute, because real faith does not demand proof. It trusts, even without it. And still, the desert was not finished. The final test remained. One last moment, one last offer, one last decision. And this time, it would go deeper than before. He was shown something greater, not hunger, not doubt, but power. All the kingdoms of the world, all their glory, all their influence, everything a human could desire, control, authority, recognition. And in that moment, everything seemed possible. No suffering, no rejection, no pain, no cross, just one simple choice. All this can be yours. The offer was clear. Immediate success, immediate power, immediate fulfillment, without sacrifice, without the cost, Only one condition: bow to me. And in that moment, everything became clear. This was not about need. This was not about doubt. This was about purpose. Would he choose the easy path or the true one? Would he take what was offered or remain faithful? Because sometimes the greatest temptation is not doing something wrong. It is choosing something easier instead of something true. And in that silence, Jesus answered, not with hesitation, not with confusion, but with authority. Go away. A command, clear, final, for it is written, "You shall worship the Lord your God and serve him only." And just like that, it ended. The temptation, the pressure, the testing, all of it stopped. The desert was still there. The silence remained. But something had changed. The battle had been won. Not with strength, not with power, but with obedience, with clarity, with faith. And that is where the meaning of this story lives, because this moment was not only about Jesus, it reflects something deeper, something human, because everyone faces their own desert, moments where life feels empty, moments where answers are not clear, moments where the easy path feels closer than the right one, moments where compromise seems small, but leads somewhere deeper. And in those moments, the same questions appear. Will you trust or will you control? Will you wait or will you force? Will you stay true or choose what is easier? Because faith is not built in comfort, it is built in decisions. Quiet decisions, invisible decisions, the ones no one else sees. And the message remains, even in the desert, God is present. Even in silence, he is there. And every choice matters, because sometimes the most important victories are the ones no one else sees, the ones that happen within.